Well, we do have another huge update in regards to the Arizona Coyotes' potential move to Salt Lake City. Coming via this tweet, I continue to hear April 18th as the day Gary Bettman will make the announcement on the Coyotes being sold to Ryan Smith and the team moving to Salt Lake City. All indications are this is the only option, and all wheels are in motion for the purchase and transfer of assets. Ryan Smith expected now to buy the Arizona Coyotes by April 18th. Apparently, that's when the announcement is coming, and the team will be moved. So originally, we thought maybe June 27th was going to be the day if they weren't able to win the land auction, but now it seems like this is happening a lot sooner, and it makes sense for the NHL to not have this influx going into the summer, although there is precedent, at least when you go back to Winnipeg and them getting a team happening in late May. Either way, I'm sure the NHL wants this resolved soon, and this would make the most sense considering Ryan Smith and his obsession to get more pro sports teams to Salt Lake City, whether that's an MLB team, whether that's an NHL team. It's interesting to think about, does this take Salt Lake City out of the running for an MLB team? There's a lot of mouths to feed. You know, the city, would they support another team after already getting an NHL team and the expected brand new arena that's built there, probably around $1 billion, that's going to be coming out within the next months. How will this whole ordeal affect Salt Lake City possibly getting an MLB team? Because they've also released renderings for a potential MLB stadium, and they are very preliminary. But either way, this is big news because this is saying June 27th doesn't matter. This is happening, and it's happening on the 18th, which is just 6 days away. Sources tell Daily Faceoff that the NHL, Arizona Coyotes, and Smith Entertainment Group have made significant and meaningful progress on an agreement that would see the Coyotes franchise sold and relocated to Salt Lake City, Utah. And that just happened. That just broke. Looks like a few hours ago. The NHL sent an update memo to the Board of Governors on Wednesday amid media speculation. Sources said the Coyotes players have been informed a verbal agreement is in place, but we have received pushback on the characterization of talks. To date, no deal has been completed. So they're already telling the players this is probably happening. The team is going to be moved, and it's going to be announced officially on the 18th of April to Salt Lake City, where they will presumably be playing at the Delta Center probably for a minimum of 2 years. They're going to be sharing that with the Utah Jazz, and then they will move into their brand new arena. So this is obviously all but confirming this is happening. And now you have to think, well, first off, yeah, people were saying in the comments, they just released this. Like this, these renderings lasted about 2 weeks, and now it seems like, I mean, there's another rendering that you can wad up and throw into the trash when it comes to the Arizona Coyotes. Personally, again, I love the idea. I've said this in previous videos. I love the idea of an NHL team being in Arizona. You know, you got the ice with the desert. It just mixes really well. I like the vibe of it. And the Scottsdale mayor comes out, says he hates this whole idea, even though the arena technically wouldn't be in Scottsdale. It would be on the outskirts of Phoenix. This whole thing has been blown to smithereens, and the move looks imminent at this point. And guys, when it comes to relocation, this is what happens. Teams try, they try, rendering. At a certain point, and especially with the Coyotes situation getting kicked out and having to play at Mullett Arena with a capacity under 5,000, it's a dire spot, and the NHL does not want to deal with this anymore. So if this does go through like we expect on the 18th, next year, you're going to have every NHL team playing at a legit arena. The other thing you have to think about when it comes to this Coyotes development, would they just continue playing at Mullett Arena while this new arena gets built? Because that's at least 2 years away. So they're going to be playing at a college hockey arena for 2 more years after already playing at this arena last year and this year. That's just not a good situation, and the NHL knows this, and it's probably better for the NHL that they get this team into Salt Lake City and then they start talking about expansion. Could Arizona come back around on expansion and possibly be an option to, get a team? Seems unlikely. Seems kind of like the Oakland Athletics situation where they're losing their team, but they want to get back in on expansion talks. But either way, this story is imminent. And by the way, the branding is not coming. And that is a very cool logo. I will agree. The Arizona Coyotes have a cool logo. They've got cool colors. And none of that is coming. Ryan Smith said earlier this week, he put it to the fans and he asked people, what should the name of a Salt Lake City NHL team be? So it's going to be a total rebranding, probably something to do with the mountains, maybe something to do with snow, Huskies, or, I mean, I don't know, I'm just throwing things out there, but Salt Lake City does look like they are getting an NHL team. How will this affect their situation in trying to get an MLB expansion team? I would probably move them down a little bit. You could say, well, they can support 3 teams. Look at other cities that they do it. But, you know, it's just, there's going to be less demand when there's more games and you know, sporting events, things like that. Either way, I'm sure, you know, you can take a look at that one rendering photo of the potential new Jazz and whatever the NHL team ends up being. That's going to probably be their new arena. However, there's only just that one rendering that was released. If this does come out on the 18th, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they released a full batch of renderings for what they want their new arena to be, which would be the home of the NHL team and also the Jazz. Expect that to come later this month if this happens by the 18th. And the idea that they need to win this land bid is completely irrelevant because the team is being sold possibly on the 18th to Ryan Smith. And it's gotten to the point where apparently they're telling players. So it seems like this is what's happening. I just wanted to give an update on this because I saw it here today. And the Arizona Coyotes teetering on relocation here. Certainly, I would say at this point, probably about a 95% chance. Earlier this week, I said it was a 75% chance. That was even before the initial news came out that it was looking like they possibly could have been moving to Salt Lake City. I already had given them a 75% chance of relocation. And now, obviously, with this news, it's going to be bumped up even higher. And the question becomes, for the NHL, what happens after this relocation? We knew this was going to be a big thing. You can't be playing at Mullett Arena. This has to be resolved. And then the NHL was going to focus on relocation. We know they came out and said there were 6 different cities that they were potentially looking at, possibly maybe going back to Atlanta, although that seems kind of far-fetched considering Atlanta's already lost several teams. Possibly looking at a place like Omaha. That's another one that seems kind of far-fetched. Cincinnati as well. Maybe more realistic options. Quebec City. Hamilton is another one, along with Houston, although Houston to me is kind of boring. You also do have Kansas City as maybe a potential option for the NHL as well. And then obviously Arizona Coyotes fans not happy at all. The word relocation, that is the worst word you could hear if you're a fan of a team. And you can see Arizona Coyotes social media posts slammed amid Utah relocation rumors. Quote, read the room. People obviously not happy. I will say when it comes to the Coyotes, at least they didn't turn off their replies like the Oakland Athletics. Still one of the most pathetic things that, you know, you see when it comes to social media. Turn off, you're a pro sports team, you're going to turn off your replies. It's ridiculous. But yeah, people are not happy with the Coyotes relocating, but you can't say you didn't see it coming. I mean, these situations, they're always 50-50, but at a certain point, once they keep trying, it's not working. At some point, something is going to have to give. When you have a terrible arena situation, something has to happen, whether it's shovels in the ground for a new arena and you're ready to go, or it's a relocation. And obviously they could not, you know, agree and build a new arena in the Phoenix area. And there are also a lot of people not happy with the relocation city, it being Salt Lake City. You know, there's other options you could choose. I don't mind Salt Lake City getting another pro sports team personally. I think 2 pro sports teams suits Salt Lake City well. I think 3 it would be a little bit much. But I mean, they could support an NFL team. Really, anyone could support an NFL team because of the limited number of games. But either way, that is just the update. This is happening very likely sooner than we expected, possibly by the 18th. If Ryan Smith purchases the Arizona Coyotes, the NHL commissioner possibly coming out within the next week and announcing it. Pretty crazy to hear that if it does come to fruition. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.